Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. Now, the xAlisa is a hotly debated scout rifle. It takes a lot of farming to get this weapon all the way up to 5 fusions and everything, so a lot of people are wondering, should we invest in this weapon? So let me give you the answer. So, let's get right on into it. Starting off with the external component cores and the substats on this weapon. Now, I've gone with fire rate, double fire rates, because I like my scouting rifles hitting fast and I like them hitting hard. For the element, there's inanimate toxic on this weapon, so we are going with double toxic on it. Then we also have a yellow core. For this one, I have gone with sprint speed, because, you know, we're trying to use this and actually be fast. So yeah, that's what I've gone with. Now, let's have a quick look at the substats on this weapon. With the modules that I have on now, which is no modules, and with the substats boosting crit rate and damage, we've got a little bit over 22% crit rate and just under 2 times crit damage. As for weak point, this weapon has a 0.34 weak point multi-hit damage multiplier, and weak point, it's got a 4 times multiplier. So this isn't too bad, but let's just take this from face value and look at my substats on here. I've got a rounds per mag, so it'll work with, you know, every Descendant. Then crit rate, crit damage, boosting my stats. And then for the firearm attack, this is also additional damage. Now, let's have a look at the modules you would want to put on this weapon, and then I'll give you a rundown of like everything else on this weapon. So, with the modules on this weapon, we are of course going to want to build up firearm attack. So with this, we will go with the, of course, action and reaction and the rifling reinforcement. Other than that, I'm going to make this weapon go with full crit rate or full crit. So if we go with crit, we'll go with better insight, better concentration, as well as that we will go with concentration priority. So you can see here we've got the main damage modules, and then we've got the crit modules. So this is basically what you would run anyways. Now, like I said, with this, you always want your weapons to fire fast, so we'll go with fire rate up. And then in this instance, we are going to eat into that weak point multiplier. So we're going to go with weak point sight, and we're also going to go with have aiming. Now, to make this usable with every Descendant, we are going to go with payout. So payout is our option over here. Now, we've got a final option. So with most Descendants, you are going to want to put expand magazine on here. However, if you are using this with glare or with any with this, you'd want to put an expand magazine on here. But this brings us to our first conundrum with this weapon. Now with this weapon, you don't really have very much option, and even with this, because we're fully built into damage, you can either drop a weak point module for your element, or you can drop the rounds here for your element. In this instance, we will be dropping our rounds for this weapon, so that is what we are going with. So this is the module setup. Now if we have a look at this weapon and what it is actually used on, let's have a quick look at this. So let's spawn in some level 200 mobs, because this is about the mobs, same level of mobs as you would be fighting within the Axion. So we'll turn the invulnerability off on the mobs, and even alone without Nell's buff, this is the type of thing you would expect. You can see here it is absolutely annihilating these mobs, which is a good sign. It can definitely do damage. So with this, when you use it as such in this scenario, you can absolutely nuke with it. However, that is in its best case scenario. If we put it up against any other type of mob, let's say Legion of Darkness, you can see it does take a little bit more, and payout is basically the only thing carrying it. It is definitely capable, however. So let's just keep using this, and there you go, we're out of ammo. But there you go, ammo is the first problem with this weapon, but I wouldn't say it's that big of a weapon because it is a scouting rifle. However, let's push this boundary a little bit further. Let's take it and apply Nell's buff to it. So now we've got infinite weak points with this thing, and you can see it absolutely vaporizing the mobs. The only thing is that ammo can be a little bit of a back and forth. However, vaporizing mobs with this does sound like a good time. If we do step this up and decide to fight a Colossi, holy lag spike, that was crazy. If you do decide to scale this up and take it onto a Colossi, this is what you can expect as well. With Nell, you can absolutely rip apart bosses without an issue. So What do I think of this weapon? I think it's capable. If we were to put it up on, like, let's say Tormentor, this weapon is definitely capable and is definitely able to do plenty of damage. The biggest thing is this mist. When you shoot whenever it's got the mist around it, you can see some of my crits go over 1,000,000, which for a weapon is absolutely ludicrous. This weapon is definitely very strong. Now, there's also one other thing about this weapon that you need to remember. There is this, the inversions. In the inversions, we choose the null inversion most of the time. However, the eraser does have a unique ability as well. Whenever you basically have it, you can get a reload time modifier, and you can also get firearm attack. Ballard Tortax, thank you for the follow, I really appreciate that. And then when you change your weapon, you can absolutely you nuke this, so you don't want to be changing weapons too much with this. Now, ammo with this is a little bit of a back and forth. However, we are building this for damage. Even if we scale the mobs all the way up to 260, this is what happens with Nell. Even without any additional difference, you can see here, for a Legion of Darkness, this thing is absolutely slapping, and the eraser is doing plenty of damage. The green mist does do damage as well. That's the main thing of this weapon. Now, despite the fact that we have got full crit modules on it and crit rate on the actual substats, this weapon still only has a 28% crit rate, almost 3 times multiplier for the crit damage, and we also have a nice 7 times multiplier for the weak point damage. This could be pushed further. With Colossi, as I showed before with the Tormentor, this can absolutely shred. However, you can buff this weapon even harder by using it with Haley. So, let me just quickly melt the Defiler with this weapon, because you can see here, even with this mist, it's still fairly capable. With Nell using her abilities, every hit is a weak point hit, so, you know, I am doing basically as much damage as I would be getting out of it, making sure to actually hit weak points as well. But in general, you can see this weapon definitely does have its work cut out for it. It's not a bossing weapon, but when it comes to using it on general day-to-day mobs, especially inside of Axion, it's actually going to be not too bad. Now, let's go up against the absolute best case scenario, and that is forcing crits with this weapon with Haley. So where is my Haley? There she is. I am using the old Haley bossing build. So I'll show you my build and show you the absolute disgusting levels of damage this thing can do. Let's slap the eraser on. Let's pick my inversions up. And we will make sure to use the inversion for this weapon, of course. And then you can also blend your inversions around this weapon. If we add Toxic onto our inversion as well as add in not sure about third one. Third one could basically be anything. Survivability for, let's just say, argument's sake. You can see that this weapon, when you use Haley's buff, will definitely get a nice crazy crit rate on this weapon. Over 75%. Is it going to go to 100? Almost 100% crit rate on this weapon. Now, what happens when we put this crit rate up against something at, like, let's say, the top level? The Wall Hanger, for example, or Wall Crasher. All my homies know that this man is kind of on crack, but even with him, with Haley and this weapon, you can tickle him. You can do a nice tickle on him. It's definitely not something you'd want to take in on the Wall Hanger. I promise you that. Or the Wall Crasher, sorry. But even still, it's actually surprising that this weapon can actually do a decent kick of damage. It's definitely capable, and a lot of people are sleeping on this weapon. Would I say invest in this weapon immediately? Yes and no. You've got to remember, for a scouting rifle, this is doing good, and I am showing it in a very positive light. It's a fun weapon for sure. Is it the best weapon ever? No, I would say it's not, but it's definitely a fun weapon for sure. With Glare, for example, because we all know Glare is an absolute beacon of a guideline, because, you know, infinite ammo is totally fair. This is where it gets absolutely ridiculous. So if I use my Purge setup with Glare, using Kuiper Hollow Points with this thing as well, and then pull out the eraser one more time, we can even change this build up a slight bit for Glare and add Special Sight, which will give you more weak point damage when aiming. This is where it gets absolutely wicked, especially with Glare. So let's pull out Tormentor again, our good old baseline. And for Glare, let's activate our first ability, activate our third ability, make sure to aim down sight, and you can see us absolutely melting Tormentor's health. Is it the fastest weapon? No. But at this moment in time, you gotta remember, it is a scouting rifle. The eraser is a very strong weapon. I would absolutely suggest investing in this. It's a pretty big bad boy weapon, and it's definitely going to give you a lot of fun. Just as a reference one more time, if you do put it up against even the highest level of toxic mobs, it is going to melt them. Toxic is its speciality, and yeah, definitely not the best when it comes to weaponry, because, you know, if you compare it to like the dagger and everything, it's not going to hold up very well, but it's fun, it's powerful. I've not seen anyone talk about it. Definitely invest in it. It's a fun one for sure. But yeah, that's basically been today's video, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.